My fusion system, fusing 1,000 chickens at the start. Chapter 101, Money or Stupidity? No, Natasha, wait for me. He remembered a sea of fire. Two little girls hugged each other as they shivered, they looked terrified. He watched that memory unfold and tried to reach out to his two daughters. Crack. Then, the scene cracked like a mirror embedded in a picture frame. Sven burst into a cold sweat and panted violently. I'm dead. Sven touched his neck, it had been wrapped in gauze that was soaked in blood. Just a slight touch would cause intense pain, but it reminded him that he was still alive. Where am I? Sven turned his head with difficulty. He was laid on a big soft bed. The head of the bed was close to a big window, the weak sunset illuminated his body in orange. There were all kinds of furniture in the room. It looked very expensive, and there were two murals on the wall. Sir, you're awake. At that moment, the door opened with a click. Two young ladies in black and white maid uniforms came into the room with hot tea. They looked worried. I'm not dead yet, and someone had tended to my injuries. Who did that? Was it Lady Gluttony? Is this the Demoness bandit gang territory? Sven had a myriad of thoughts. He remembered that the last moment before he fainted, Lady Gluttony had gnawed on his neck. He also heard the voices from her and the Blackmoon Knights. Oh, right. Blackmoon Castle. Sven's eyes flashed. Then, he sat up on the bed, stretched out his hands, and grabbed the necks of the two maids in front of him. Don't move. Call for your master, or I'll kill you. Also, give me my staff back. Sven paid special attention when he inspected the room. His staff was gone, it was something that could save his life. Kaka. The two maids looked terrified, and their bodies trembled. The teacups in their hands fell onto the ground and shattered into pieces as hot tea spilled all over the floor. It was young Master Watson who brought you back here. As for the staff, is it something from your body? We don't know either. Lori Sven, I'm relieved to see you in such good spirits. A tender voice echoed from outside before Watson walked into the room with Alan and List behind him. Both watched Sven's movements coldly. Their hands were on the long swords at their waists. If Sven dared to make any unusual movements, they would attack without hesitation. This is Blackmoon Castle, indeed. Sven snorted. The boy in front of him had left a deep impression. He was the child who had appeared on the wall. Even though Sven did not know why the other party had brought him there, they must not have had any good intentions. That was why they would take this staff. Return my staff to me, otherwise. Just as he was about to use the two maids as a threat, Sven felt his hands become lighter. The soft feeling of his neck disappeared, it was replaced by hardness. Otherwise, what? Watson teleported to Sven from the door. His two hands were covered with a light elemental combat aura. He grabbed Sven's hands and said, "The two of you go out first." "Yes, young Master Watson." The two maids rubbed their necks. They were still in shock as they picked up the broken teacups on the ground and walked out in small steps. Sven ignored them. His eyes were fixed on Watson, and through his gritted teeth, he said, "Teleport? You're a gold-tier warrior." The 10-year-old child was stronger than him. How did a 10-year-old reach the gold tier? Only the Sword Saint had managed to reach the gold tier when he was in his teens, and he was the kingdom's only diamond tier elite. It also meant that the kid would become a diamond tier warrior one day. The young boy must have been the border count's illegitimate child. Sven confirmed his previous guess. He did not think that the count would assign so many silver tier warriors to the boy even though he was his son. However, he changed his mind. If he had such a talented child, he would hire a few gold tier warriors to protect him, let alone silver tier ones. If his two daughters were not dead, they should be around the boy's age. "Hey, how long are you going to hold on to young master's hand? Young master saved you out of kindness. If it were not for him, you would have died." If I had known earlier, I would not have saved you. The reprimanding voice came from behind Watson. Sven looked up. He realized that the person who spoke was the man who had single-handedly challenged their bandit gang and held on for several minutes. Young Master Watson, what Captain Allen said makes sense. However, I also think that we shouldn't have saved this bandit. Each of these bandits had taken more than one life. It's not worth it to waste the precious rainbow phoenix chicken eggs on them. The other upright guards said. All right, we've already used it to save him. So it's useless to talk about this now. Watson withdrew his hands that were surrounded by combat aura, took 2 steps backward, and waved his hand. You are Sven, the leader of the shabby bandit gang, right? You probably hate me, and it isn't something that I can compensate for by saving you. It's none of my business if you want revenge or do anything else. I just want information about Lady Gluttony. This woman had injured my men before she escaped. If you tell me about her, I'll let you go. Return my staff to me first. Sven was silent for a moment and laid back down. He was not as arrogant as when he had stood up. There were dozens of silver-tier warriors in Blackmoon Castle, and Watson was also a gold-tier warrior. The child's hidden identity made it impossible for him to make a move too. However, he was not at the mercy of others. Watson said that they wanted to know about Lady Gluttony. He would not die if he had information in his hands. Allen, give him the staff. Yes, young Master Watson. Allen glared fiercely at Sven and left the room. A moment later, he returned with the staff and threw it at Sven casually. You've got it back. Tell us what our young master wants to know. Sven caressed the undead calamity staff in his hand. After he confirmed that it was the real one, he was at a loss. His staff was a silver-tier equipment, and it had something to do with a mysterious ruin. Did those people from Blackmoon Castle not want it at all? Would they give it back to him so generously? He decided that it did not matter, he had to leave the place first. As he made up his mind, Sven propped himself against the staff and struggled to get out of bed. Give me a horse, the fastest one. After I leave the castle, I will write the information about Lady Gluttony on paper and place it between 2 marked trees. During this period, you are not allowed to send anyone to follow me. Very well, I understand. Watson smiled as he looked at Sven. I promise you. Half an hour later. I'm sorry, but we don't have a horse in Blackmoon Castle. This 2-winged liger is a silver-tier magical beast and is also a specialty of our castle. I'll give it to you. Watson pointed at a giant, 2-headed, savage-looking magical beast in front of him. The 2-headed liger spread its wings and flapped them, it looked like a tiger. Its 2 heads stared at Sven as saliva dripped from its fangs onto the ground. Sven was dumbstruck. A silver-tier magical beast, you're giving it to me for free. Watson waved his hand, and a guard brought a set of shining silver-tier armor and a basket of eggs that shone with a rainbow luster. I forgot to tell you, the 2-winged liger has a violent temper, and it's difficult for ordinary people to control it. Since you're injured, in order to ensure your safety, I'll give you a set of silver-tier armor, as well as 50 rainbow phoenix chicken eggs. The armor will protect you, and you can eat the eggs if you feel unwell. Silver-tier armor and eggs of the legendary rainbow phoenix chicken eggs. Swire was shocked when he saw those precious items, and he was even more shocked by Watson's unhesitating gifts. Was he a fool or Blackmoon Castle's young master? Was this young master of Blackmoon Castle rich or a simtu? Chapter 102, The Mask of Great Sin. As Sven looked at the innocent smile on Watson's face and the honest look in his eyes, he reached to take the silver armor and the rainbow phoenix chicken egg. Then, he turned around and got on the back of the 2-winged liger. He patted the monster's neck as he let the beast fly into the sky. He lowered his head and covered his voice with a combat aura when he rose hundreds of meters into the sky. Lady Gluttony is one of Demoness bandit gang's leaders, they have 7 leaders that correspond to the 7 sins: arrogance, greed, sloth, gluttony, anger, jealousy, and lust. Each leader wears a different mask that has many magical features, such as gluttony. Sven paused at that point. His original plan was to trick Watson into giving him a horse to escape Blackmoon Castle. He did not expect Watson to provide him with so many things instead. Watson reminded him of his dead daughter, that was why he wanted to give him a hint. Gluttony's mask can devour one's combat aura. When I was fighting with Lady Gluttony, I did not know that I was injured. If you want to surround her, then you must pay special attention. Other than that, the Demoness bandit gang members make blood sacrifices because they believe in evil gods. I don't know the details, but that's all I know. After he said that, Sven controlled the 2-winged liger to hover in mid-air. He heard Watson thanked him with a shout. Sven thought that he should be the one thanking the child. Watson had saved his life. As for the dead shabby bandit gang members, those people were just pawns for his revenge. He could always find new pawns. As long as he was alive, the shabby bandit gang would always exist. Sven took one last look at Watson and flew into the distant sky without another glance backward. Young Master Watson, are you going to let him go just like that? Alan stared at the sky as his eyes flickered. What if he had lied to us? Why don't we capture him and torture him for more information? Even if what he said is true, we don't need to give him a 2-winged liger and a set of silver defensive equipment. These things are worth at least hundreds of gold coins. It's fine. Watson maintained the cute smile typical of a teenager. I don't think he is a bad guy, so I spared his life. I think if I help him, he will also help me. Of course, it did not matter. Watson thought that he was the one who had fused the 2-winged liger. That animal would only listen to his words and had a specific connection with him. No matter where Sven ran, as long as he commanded it, the 2-winged liger would carry him back. It would be a significant loss to belittle him just because he was a child. Young master, you are still young. Alan shook his head and sighed. You are too young and don't know about the dangers in this world. The words of adults in this world, especially bandits, cannot be trusted. In my opinion, once a person had taken the benefits, they would run far away and hide. When he realized that Alan was about to continue lamenting, Watson opened his mouth. Just as he was about to reveal his trump card, a thunder-like sound suddenly echoed from the sky. Master of Blackmoon Castle, the reason I was severely injured and reduced to this state has nothing to do with Blackmoon Castle. It is because of Lady Gluttony. If you want to capture her, please bring me with you. I will be waiting for you at the Shabby Bandit Gang's original location. If you have any news, feel free to look for me. Then, Sven's figure turned into a small black dot as he flew further away and soon disappeared. Watson looked up at the sky and smiled. He took back what he was about to say. Alan, see, I'm right. I've helped others, and others will help me too. That was strange. Was that old bandit so loyal? Alan muttered in his heart. He bowed to Watson and revealed a flattering smile. As expected of you, young Master Watson. He is a mastermind, indeed. A fool like me can never be compared to him, not even for 100 years. I will have to follow your example, young Master Watson. Reg. They could hear a vomiting sound from around them. The guards who followed Watson looked at Alan with disdain. Even List looked as if he did not know Alan and moved away. At night, in Blackmoon Castle's hall, Edward sat at the dining table while Catherine helped distribute their evening meals. As he put on an apron elegantly, Edward asked, Watson, I heard that a group of bandits came to our walls today, and they wanted to tear down our wall. What happened? Father, that group of bandits had been annihilated by the Blackmoon Knights. Only one person who called herself Lady Gluttony got away. Watson moved his knife and fork to cut the Rainbow Phoenix chicken egg in front of him. Lady Gluttony, are they members of the Demoness bandit gang? The people at the dining table included Watson's eldest brother, Vincent, his second sister, Nindy, his third brother, Zeke, his fourth brother, Zenoa, and his seventh sister, Scarlet. It was a family meal. The person who asked that question was Vincent, and his face was filled with confusion. Nindy had been with Watson during the day, so he did not go with them. He knew the Demoness bandit gang's name very well. When he worked at the Wilbur Manor, he had heard Wilbur mention that gang. At that time, Wilbur's eyes had turned red, and he had gritted his teeth as if someone had robbed him of his money. No one knew what had happened. It's the Demoness bandit gang. She was the only one who escaped out of 400 bandits. She also almost killed the leader of another bandit gang and injured a few Blackmoon knights. She's very powerful, Nindy said with a solemn expression. Demoness bandit gang? Gluttony. Edward's eyes suddenly flashed with recognition. He turned to his wife, Catherine, and said, Catherine, this bandit gang that the children are talking about, do you think they could be the one from back then? Catherine did not say anything, but her expression was very grave. Watson noticed that and asked curiously, Father, you seem to know something. He knew that his father acted like a clown, but he was very knowledgeable. As part of the Saint Laurent family in the kingdom, it would not be strange for his father to know something about it. Watson, did the person from the Demoness bandit gang wear a mask? Is each mask different? Lady Gluttony's mask would be one of a rabbit. I don't know if it's different because we only saw Lady Gluttony. Her mask is of a rabbit, indeed. Then there's no mistake. Edward sighed. They must be remnants of the Demoness church from back then. Who would have thought that they would come back to the border? The mask of great sin. I never thought that I would see this thing one day. Mask of great sin? It was not only Watson, but all his siblings were also curious about that. What is that? Humans are born with 7 sins, and one can only be free once one releases these sins. That is the Demoness church's philosophy. They were once a popular church in the kingdom more than 10 years ago. They said that Queen Avril had a connection to that church, and after her death, there was no grand funeral in the kingdom. His Majesty even forbade people from mentioning it. Edward's eyes flashed with reminiscence as he continued to say, and the mask of great sin is the Demoness church's treasure. This mask was initially a platinum-level treasure, but it was broken when the kingdom destroyed that church. Each piece retained a silver tier. At that time, they could not find this mask when they exterminated the church. Everyone thought it was lost. I didn't expect. Then, Catherine said, an evil god made the shattered mask, so no human could repair it. Furthermore, it is only silver tier, and its special ability is only gold tier, so the kingdom did not send anyone to search for it. Watson listened in a daze, and when he heard that, he suddenly had a thought. Other humans might not be able to repair the mask, but he might be able to do it. His fusion magic could fuse everything, so something that an evil god made should be no problem at all. If he could find the Demoness bandit gang leader and kill her, would that mean he would get the platinum tier equipment? Chapter 103, Destroyed in One Move. The more Watson thought about it, the more excited he got. When he obtained platinum tier equipment, attacks from anyone below that tier would be utterly ineffective against him. Even if the opponent was a gold tier elite, he could attack Watson for a whole year, and he would not be able to harm him. Plus, how many platinum tier elites could there be in the entire kingdom? According to Father, this Demoness bandit gang is a remnant of the Demoness church. The fragments of their platinum tier equipment sound very valuable. Watson's 2 older brothers, Zeke and Zenoa, looked at each other and said simultaneously, "You only know about money. Aren't you afraid that Watson will send men to destroy the Demoness bandit gang? This Lady Gluttony might bring people to take revenge on us when she returns to her territory." Watson's eldest brother, Vincent, said worriedly, "It doesn't matter. If they dare to come, I'll use my bow and arrows to beat them to a pulp." Scarlet waved the knife and fork in her hand and snorted softly. Watson and Nindy had gone to kill the bandit gang the previous day. She knew about that and had wanted to follow them. Unfortunately, Watson had rejected her because it was too dangerous. He was her younger brother, yet he managed to control her due to his strength. That made Scarlet a little unhappy. Nindy shook her head at Scarlet. Scarlet, don't mess around. She had seen the Demoness bandit gang's performance, so she knew about their strength. Even Blackmoon Castle could not wipe them out so easily. Please don't worry. I already have a way to deal with the Demoness bandit gang. Watson put the cutlery in his hand down and said in a serious tone. Watson, are you sure? Not only do you have to cultivate on your own every day, but you also have to supervise the Blackmoon Knights. You even have to guide us in our cultivation. If it really isn't possible, then leave this matter to the guards to handle. Nindy was still worried. It's fine, second sister. Watson shook his head. These so-called bandit gangs are evil, committing all kinds of crimes. As long as we are upright, we will take the initiative to get rid of them. It's my duty to get rid of evil for the people. Since Blackmoon Castle has taken root here, I must protect its nearby residents. After Watson said that, the dining hall was silent, even his father, Edward, and his mother, Catherine, were quiet. All the siblings looked at him in surprise as if it was hard to imagine that such words came from a child's lips. A moment later, Edward was the first to react. He clapped and gave Watson a thumbs up. It is as expected of my child, a man must have courage. In any case, the Demoness Church had already been wiped out by the kingdom once, so they won't succeed. Even if the Demoness bandit gang is a remnant of the Demoness Church, it won't pose much of a threat. Blackmoon Castle now has more than 50 Blackmoon Knights and more than 1,000 Silver-tier magical beasts. Even without the Blackmoon Knights, these magical beasts would be enough to flatten the Demoness bandit gang, Edward laughed. Father, it's not just the Demoness bandit gang. I'll clean up the entire Blackmoon town and get rid of all the bandits around us. Watson's words made Edward's laughter stop abruptly. Watson's idea of punishing the Demoness bandit gang was perilous. He did not expect that he would want to capture all the bandit gangs at the border in one fell swoop. Unfortunately, there were numerous bandit gangs at the border. Even the border count could not do anything about it, so it would be very difficult for Watson to go against them alone. Watson, you are too ambitious. Why don't you think about it again? Should we eliminate the Demoness bandit gang or some other bandit gang? We can't eliminate them all in one go, right? Vincent wanted to persuade his younger brother, but before he could finish, Watson said, Eldest brother, I want to eliminate them all in one go. I have made up my mind. There's nothing more to say about that. I will inform the Blackmoon Knights about this later and get them to prepare to set off tomorrow. Watson clenched his fists as his eyes shone. Only children had to make a choice, adults would want everything. What was the point of only destroying one Demoness bandit gang? If they wanted to do it, then they would have to do it thoroughly. The Demoness bandit gang had platinum equipment fragments. Perhaps other bandit gangs also had them. It was an excellent opportunity to get rid of evil for the people and get rich overnight. After dinner, Watson quickly told the people in the mansion about that news. More than 60 Blackmoon Knights and 5 mages sat in a huge hall. They were looking at a map that Nightingale had left behind when she left. The map recorded detailed terrain of the entire border, so it would be convenient for Watson to go to the fairy castle to find her. The fairy castle was at the eastern side of the border, and the western side was connected to Monty Town. A manor divided into pieces like a chessboard sat in the middle of both locations, and a vast and endless fog forest was to the north of the manor. The bandit gangs mainly resided in that forest. Young Master Watson, please look at this. This is the shabby bandit gang's territory, more than 10 kilometers from Blackmoon Castle. And the other side is the Demoness bandit gang's territory. Alan pointed at the two mountains on the map outside the misty forest and used a brush to make two big crosses on them. The shabby bandit gang's lair was on a tall mountain peak. Few trees grew on the mountain, and its peak was always covered in snow, so it was hard for anyone to enter that location. However, the Demoness bandit gang occupied the opposite mountain range. A few mountains had beautiful scenery and waterfalls, and iron chains connected each mountain peak instead of bridges. Other than Silvertier warriors, ordinary people would find it hard to pass through those mountain peaks. Furthermore, there were guards there too, and the outer side was full of cliffs. It was easy to defend but hard to attack. It was impossible to climb up to the peak. After he listened to Alan's words, Watson studied the map carefully and tapped the table with his fingers. Even though Lady Gluttony escaped and injured a few of us, she was also wounded. So maybe she will return to the Demoness bandit gang. Tomorrow, we will look for Sven from the shabby bandit gang and bring him with us when we attack the Demoness bandit gang. At the same time, we will let him point out the other bandit gangs nearby. Then, we will take them down together and return peace to the border. Do you understand? Understood, young Master Watson. The Blackmoon Knights, led by Alan and List, nodded respectfully, especially List. He looked at Watson with admiration. He told himself that the young master was very considerate of the border. It was really great. He had to strive to be like the young master. There was a manor named Vermilion Manor in Misty Forest about 10 kilometers away from Blackmoon town. It was a winery. It was named because of its reputation in red wine. The owner was a middle-aged woman named Camille. At that moment, Camille held a glass of red wine as she sat on the sofa in the bright hall. She swirled the wine glass gently, and her heavily made-up face had a smile that could not be stopped. I didn't expect a Blackmoon castle at the border. They had destroyed more than 10 manors in one go and even combined their resources. My manor was not ranked in the vicinity, but thanks to Blackmoon Castle, I am now in the top 10. Plus, they are wealthy. The Silvertier materials used to build the walls are at least 10 times more valuable than Monty Town. Furthermore, Blackmoon Town has a large number of precious materials that are not available outside. For example, Silvertier magical beasts and equipment. If I can use alcohol to exchange for those things, I will no longer send anyone to Monty Town for resources. I will not only save on travel expenses, but I can also avoid bandits. As long as I continue to cooperate with Blackmoon Town, I believe that my manor will become better. As the first batch of manor owners to show their goodwill after Blackmoon Castle's victory, Camille had her unique vision. At that moment, she was looking forward to a happy future. Then, suddenly, a servant rushed into the hall and shouted in panic. "Lady Camille, something terrible has happened. There's a crazy woman outside the manor. Her face is covered in blood, and she's wearing a mask. She said that we should prepare the best food for her, or else she'll kill us all. Just now, she broke the necks of 2 of our guards. Please go out and take a look." Chapter 104, Denouncement. Who would be so bold to come to my manor and wreak havoc? Camille looked unhappy. She placed the wine glass on the table at the side and walked behind the male servant. "Get the guards in the manor. When we caught the crazy woman outside, I'll let her have a taste of torture." She looked forward to a beautiful future as she thought about building a good relationship with Blackmoon Castle. Nothing made her angrier than an interruption at that time. 10 minutes later. In Vermilion Manor's hall. The ground was littered with the guards' corpses. Each of them was missing an arm or a leg. Blood flowed through the cracks in the floor, and the air was filled with the smell of blood. Among the high pile of corpses, a woman in a black robe and a rabbit mask stepped on Camille's bloodied face. She rubbed Camille's face against the ground and listened to her screams. "No, don't kill me. I'll give you anything you want. I have money and priceless red wine in the cellar. If you spare me, then these are all yours. If I kill you, aren't these all mine as well?" The black-robed woman bent downward as blood dripped from the rabbit mask, and she held a ledger in her hand that told her that the manor had sent gifts to Blackmoon Castle a few days ago. You seem to have a connection to Blackmoon Castle. Blackmoon Castle? Camille seemed to have grasped onto a life-saving straw. Yes, I'm their ally. I'm warning you, Blackmoon Castle is a new faction at the border, and they're connected to the border count. They have dozens of silver-tier warriors and countless treasures in the castle. If you dare to treat me like this, they won't let you off so easily. I didn't ask you that many questions. The black-robed woman broke one of Camille's arms. Arg! Who are you? Why are you treating me like this? Camille screamed in pain. What did she do wrong? I'm Lady Gluttony, one of the 7 great sins of the Demoness bandit gang, or you can call me Lady Gluttony. Blackmoon Castle has killed many of my Demoness bandit gang members. In return, I want to prepare a small gift for them. However, that's not why you'll die. I'm just too hungry. Lady Gluttony stroked Camille's snow-white neck. One could hear it as she licked her lips behind the mask before she bit down hard on the flesh. I'm going to start eating. If you don't want to feel too uncomfortable, don't resist me. One could only hear the sound of chewing in the manor. The sun had set, and it left a strange red trace in the silent manor. Young Master Watson, something terrible has happened. 3 manors were attacked last night, including the Vermilion Manor. No one survived the attack, and there were traces of gnawing on their bodies. Some people said that they had encountered a magical beast. Early the following day, Watson had just woken up when Alan, dressed neatly, stood beside him and gave him a report. Watson held a homemade toothbrush in his mouth before he cleaned his mouth with salt. A moment later, he took a sip of water, rinsed his mouth, and spat it out through the window. It's winter, but it only snowed lightly yesterday. The magical beasts are out already. That was the first time he had experienced winter since he came to that world. He had heard rumors that after the heavy snow sealed the mountains, the magical beasts in the misty forest would wander outside due to the lack of food. However, that was when the snow was at its peak. It had not reached that stage yet. Young Master, I suspect that it was not the magical beasts that killed the people, but Alan looked out the window thoughtfully. After he was sure that there was no one under the window, he began to speak. Then, he hesitated. What is it? Alan said, I suspect that it was a human. Do you still remember Lady Gluttony who escaped yesterday? When we found her, she was biting the shabby bandit gang leader, Sven. If we hadn't arrived in time, that old man would have been eaten. Do you think she was the one who did that last night? When Watson did not respond, Alan continued to say, the other manors are saying that the Vermilion Manor ended like this because Blackmoon Castle had angered the bandit gangs, and they wanted revenge. A few of the owners are waiting in the hall right now. They want to seek an explanation from you. Do you want to meet them? Yes, why not? Watson put the toothbrush back on the cabinet by the bedside. He pinched his face and revealed an innocent smile that was unique to children his age. In the hall on Blackmoon Castle's first floor, 3 gorgeous people were sitting on the sofa. They included a middle-aged man with light yellow hair and a high forehead, a black-bearded old man in a boat-shaped hat, and a gorgeous woman in sultry clothes. The master of Blackmoon Castle is really arrogant. He made us wait for half an hour. How much longer does he want us to wait? The middle-aged man with yellow hair and a high hairline held a glass of red wine and gestured for the maid behind him to fill it up for him. However, the environment here is quite comfortable. I have been to the kingdom's famous noble territory as a guest before, and the environment there was only average in standard. After he tasted the wine, the middle-aged man narrowed his eyes comfortably. If I'm not wrong, this glass of wine should be the top red wine produced by the Vermilion Winery 10 years ago. The taste is mellow, and the aftertaste is quite profound. A bottle is worth at least 50 gold coins. I didn't expect that Camille would be willing to send one here. It's a pity that they were massacred last night. I'm afraid I won't be able to drink this kind of wine anymore. Morgan, don't be so hypocritical here. You also run a red wine business. Now that there's one less competitor, you should be happy, right? A woman dressed in sultry clothes spoke with disdain. She had wavy brown hair, and her body emitted a strong scent. The black-bearded old man was called Jack. His family traded in the magical beast business. At that moment, he took a pipe from his pocket and lit it with a match. After he took a puff of smoke, he laughed and leaned against the sofa. Christine, you're right. Logically speaking, without competitors, we can occupy a favorable position in the deal with Blackmoon Castle. However, there's a prerequisite: they have to protect us. Otherwise, other people might kill or hate us because of them, and we won't be able to do anything. How could they make money if they were already dead? Morgan and Christine were quiet when they heard what the older man said. They had heard about the Vermilion Manor, and their hearts trembled. That was why they had chosen to go to Blackmoon Castle to ask for an explanation. They valued Blackmoon Castle for its strength and resources. As a manor allied to Blackmoon Castle, how could they be at ease when several manors had been massacred before any formal transaction had even begun? Don't worry. Even though it was not Blackmoon Castle's fault, I will still give everyone an explanation. A tender voice echoed as Watson led Alan down the stairs. When three manor owners saw Watson, they stood up at the same time to show their respect. Morgan sneered. He looked a little dissatisfied. It wasn't Blackmoon Castle's fault? Does young Master Watson think that it was our fault then? If you didn't provoke the bandits, they wouldn't have targeted us. Blackmoon Castle may be powerful, but we are not afraid. It has been hard on us, the small manor owners. Shut up. How can you be so disrespectful toward young Master Watson? Besides, how can you blame him for this? Even if young Master Watson didn't do anything, won't the bandits still kill people? Alan growled. Jack and Christine did not say anything because they knew that Alan was right. They were not there to blame Watson but to take advantage of the opportunity to get some benefits. Alan, I understand the feelings of these manor owners. It's normal for them to be afraid when a manor has been attacked. Don't be too impulsive, it's not good to scare the guests. Watson smiled elegantly and waved his hand. It just so happens that we destroyed 2 bandit groups yesterday. We seized a lot of things. Alan, please bring those things here as an apology to the manor owners. Chapter 105, The fight had begun. There are 50 sets of bronze-tier armor and over 300 iron-tier weapons. Do you think that these things would send us on our way? 10 minutes later, Morgan stared at the pile of blood-stained equipment on the ground. He was displeased. He did not have any complaints about the equipment. After all, a single piece of bronze-tier equipment was worth several to 10 gold coins, while an iron-tier weapon was worth dozens of silver coins. Those items were worth thousands of gold coins. It was equivalent to 1/10 of his manor's total assets. However, most of the equipment on the ground was incomplete. For example, some of the armors were missing something, and some of them had been blown to pieces. Other than a few pieces of iron plates attached to the waist, the rest of the equipment had many holes. One could not tell its defensive capabilities, but one would definitely feel the cool breeze. It was a pile of junk. I'm very sorry. Unfortunately, when my men wiped out the bandit gang yesterday, they had exerted too much strength and accidentally damaged their equipment. I hope you can forgive me. Watson smiled as he apologized sincerely. They should forget about the Silver-tier warriors. Those who had helped out the previous day also included Silver-tier mages. Those items had been collected with great difficulty when they were cleaning up the battlefield. Young Master Watson, you're not very honest, Jack said with a bitter smile as he bit his pipe. Everyone knew Blackmoon Castle was powerful, else, they would not have wanted to form an alliance with them. However, even though they were powerful, they still took those items and gave them to the manor owners even though they knew that most of them had been damaged. Did young Master Watson want to bully them? Morgan, who had the worst temper, immediately said, "Young Master Watson, I don't like trash. If you can't give me compensation in good faith, then don't blame me for breaking our alliance with Blackmoon Castle." "Sure, then you're free to leave now." Watson stopped smiling and offered his hand toward Morgan. "You." Morgan's face was full of rage. He was about to say something else when Watson interrupted him. "Aren't you threatening to revoke your contract with Blackmoon Castle? Don't forget that you were the ones who requested this, not us. Leave your manor, the items inside also belong to me. However, I prefer peace, so I am not willing to do that." When Watson spoke, he had the aura of a gold-tier warrior. It suppressed everyone there, and that included Alan. It made them feel a little breathless. "Also, when did I say that I would give these things to you as they are now?" Watson activated the fusion system. He waved his right hand, and the hundreds of equipment on the ground immediately turned into streaks of light. Then, they fused and turned into a set of golden armor. Gold tier God's Blessing Holy Light Armor. Effect, able to resist the defense of gold tier warriors. Upon wearing it, the user's cultivation speed will increase by 100%. Additional effects: negative resistance, eliminates hunger, dizziness, poison, and other harmful effects, transformation, magic immunity, physical immunity, light elemental enchantment. Upon wearing this armor and touching a weapon, it will release light elemental combat aura, and the combat aura will become stronger under the sunlight. Additional skills: Holy Angel Summon, after absorbing enough sunlight, can summon a holy angel with the strength of a gold tier warrior. The back of the gold tier armor was made of gilded gold with 6 wings, and each feather was lifelike. It was a one-piece armor, a breastplate and shoulder armor on top, and a long skirt shaped like a sharp sword for the bottom. The design was gorgeous, it looked like clothes worn by the gods in fairy tales. "This is..." Morgan stared at the golden armor in front of him. The wine glass in his hand fell onto the floor with a clatter, and the wine spilled all over the floor. The carpet was soaked red. Gold tier defensive equipment. The pipe in Jack's mouth also fell onto the floor, it had landed on his right shoe. It was not until it burned a hole in his magical beast hide boots that he reacted. He quickly picked up his pipe, and his voice trembled as he said, "It is gold tier equipment, indeed. I am not mistaken. To be able to fuse a pile of junk and change its quality, what kind of magic is this?" He felt like he was dreaming. He had heard that Blackmoon Castle was rich and powerful. At first, he thought that the resources in the castle were supplied by the border count. However, he finally understood that Blackmoon Castle was rich because of Watson. Even Alan, who was fully equipped with gold tier equipment and was used to Watson's methods, could not help but stare blankly at the young child. "I must be hallucinating." Christine rubbed her eyes as she moved closer to the armor. Her eyes shone brightly. Women would always be attracted to shiny things. When she was only one step away from the armor, Alan grabbed her hand, and she finally reacted. She stopped and turned to look at Watson as she breathed rapidly. "Young Master Watson, do you mean to give this equipment to us? But there's only one armor. It's not enough for us to share." Blackmoon Castle was so powerful that they would use magic to create an illusion to fool them. It meant that everything in front of them was real. There was gold tier armor in front of them. That was the first time she had seen gold tier equipment in her life. "It is up to you how you would like to share it. I just want you to know that Blackmoon Castle has the strength to protect you." Watson put his hands behind his back and laughed. "As for who gets this armor, it depends on which one of you offers the highest price." He could tell that those people were there to get benefits from him. Then he would tell those people that there were benefits, but they needed to work hard to fight for them. "I'll go first. Young Master Watson, my manor is involved in the flesh trade, and I have many beautiful girls under me. I don't think there are that many maids in Blackmoon Castle, so why don't I send some of them to be your maids? Christine bit her lips, leaned close to Watson's ear, and lowered her voice. When she saw Watson frown, she winked at him, "Young Master Watson, don't reject me yet. I have specially groomed these girls. They are virgins, and they have all kinds of talents. I guarantee that they will make all men forget about everything else but them. However, if you don't like young girls, then I can do it too." Christine, you slut, how old are you? Look at yourself in the mirror. How can young Master Watson be interested in you? Besides, you're an old prostitute. Aren't you afraid that the gold tier armor would attract the wrong attention? Do you want to die a violent death? Morgan sneered, "Give me this gold tier armor. I'm willing to pay for it with 20 bottles of 20-year-old red wine. If that's not enough, THEN 30 bottles. Christine turned around in anger, she did not want to be outdone. "Morgan, you still have the nerve to say that? Who said that they didn't want the things Blackmoon Castle had given us and that they would leave if Blackmoon Castle couldn't give them better items? Go now, no one will stop you." "You." I said that in a fit of anger, how can you take it seriously? Morgan's face alternated between flushed and pale. He had only said that because he thought that was a pile of junk. He would not have acted so rashly if Watson had shown them the gold tier equipment. He would not have left even if they broke his legs. "Young Master Watson, I really want this armor. Do you think I can give you half of the magical beast in my manor?" Jack grabbed his pipe and raised his offer. Watson pretended to be embarrassed and hid his face with his fingers. "Your conditions are all too good. It's hard for me to agree with a specific person now. Why don't you discuss it again?" The three manor owners looked at each other as if they were angry roosters. Neither of them would let the other go. Unfortunately, they had forgotten the purpose of their visit. "Alan, close the door and let them talk for a while." Watson waved his hand and walked out of the hall. He indicated for Alan to follow him. Even though he did not want too many people to know that he had mastered the fusion magic, Nightingale and the guards at the castle had seen it before, so he could no longer hide it. It was better to show it to the manor owners to shake things up a bit. Soon, Watson and Alan left the hall, and the maids also gradually left. When Alan closed the door, the two men and a woman immediately roared, "It's mine, this armor is mine, why do you have to fight with me, dream on," and so on. Watson dug his ears, and his expression became serious. "Alan, go and inform the Blackmoon Knights to gather outside the castle. After they are done with their quarrel, we will go to the Misty Forest and meet with Sven. We shall look for Lady Gluttony and annihilate all the bandit gangs along the way." The destruction of the Vermilion Manor was out of his expectations. Fortunately, only 3 manor owners were there to look for him. Unfortunately, it might be worse the next time. He could not keep sending them away with gold tier equipment, and he did not have enough material anyway. The longer he dragged the issue, the more manors would suffer. He had to catch Lady Gluttony as quickly as possible. Chapter 106, No One Can Survive the Blackmoon Knights. "Young Master, the Blackmoon Knights have all assembled." Half an hour later, Alan stood at the mansion entrance and knelt as he spoke to Watson. There were 65 Blackmoon Knights behind him. They were neatly dressed and had long swords at their waists. It was a set of silver tier equipment. "Lucas, you and the new knights can stay in the castle. List, you should stay too." Watson swept his gaze across the men in front of him and said, "Alan, choose 20 men and come with me." They had to leave enough men at the castle if Lady Gluttony or her bandit gang members would attack them. After all, Lady Gluttony was a cunning person, so they had to be on their guard. "Yes, young Master Watson." "Yes, young Master." Alan and List agreed at the same time. Then, Alan selected 20 strong knights to go with Watson. Those who were not selected looked disappointed. They thought that they had missed an excellent opportunity to contribute. The gate of the mansion opened after the troops left. The 3 manor owners who had quarreled in the hall walked out with their faces bruised and swollen. Christine's clothes were disheveled, with her underwear revealed. There were many scratches on Jack and Morgan's faces, a large part of their beard and hair was missing. The gold tier armor that Watson had fused was in Christine's hands. "Have you decided the winner?" Watson looked back and pretended to ask them. It seemed that Christine had won. Indeed, women had a unique advantage in a fight. "Yes, young Master Watson. Morgan and Jack have agreed to give this armor to me. Don't worry, I'll send 20 maids here tomorrow," Christine said with a pained expression. Her handmaidens were trained singers. If they were sold to a great nobleman, she could get more than 10 gold coins for each of them. She would lose a few hundred gold coins in that transaction. That was only the reward for Blackmoon Castle. She also had to give Morgan 200 gold coins and to sleep with Jack once so that they would not continue to fight over it. She had spent almost 1,000 gold coins to buy the gold tier armor, which would typically only be enough to purchase regular equipment. Christine's expression softened, and she smiled as she looked at the armor in her hand. Gold coins were common, she could still earn more of them. Plus, she had earned a lot, that armor could guarantee her safety. "Young Master Watson, it looks like you guys are leaving." Jack and Morgan had tidied their messy clothes to maintain their poise. Jack, who was missing a piece of his beard, had asked curiously. "They're just going out to catch a little mouse." Watson chuckled as he told them softly. However, Christine and the other 2 knew the mouse that he meant. When they learned that the Vermilion Manor had been attacked, they panicked. Then, they wished that there were a few more manors near to them. That way, they would have another reason to ask Watson for something. If they had the gold tier armor, they would not need to be afraid of any attack at all. Those who were below gold tier would not be able to break the gold tier armor's defense, and no gold tier elites would be a bandit. "That's right, you guys should come along. Also, please inform the manor owners nearby. Let them see the consequences of causing trouble at the border." Watson made up his mind about the consequences of going against Blackmoon Castle. Many of the nearby manors knew that Blackmoon Castle had defeated more than 10 manors. However, they did not understand how they had won, so he wanted to take the opportunity to let them see it so that it would dispel their worries. "Young Master Watson, that's not a good idea. I still have things to do," Morgan complained unhappily. It was not suitable for him to appear in front of others. As for Lady Gluttony's capture, there were already many guards searching for her in Misty Forest. How long would it take for him to find her? Watson looked at Morgan and said, "You shall help us capture Lady Gluttony. If you can capture her, then I will reward you." "Morgan, don't go if you don't want to, but I'm going anyway," Jack said immediately. Christine had already worn her gold armor and lifted her hair. "I'm going too." "Who said I'm not going?" Morgan jumped. "Blackmoon Castle is my ally, their trouble is our trouble. I will still go even if there is no reward, young Master Watson. I have a few Iron Tier guards at home, and I will bring them with me later. They might be a little weak, but it's only a search, after all. The more, the merrier." After he said that, Morgan smiled at Watson with a flattering expression. "Do you think this arrangement is suitable?" "Shameless." The Blackmoon Knights pursed their lips as they looked at Alan, who was standing beside Watson. They felt that Morgan was very similar to someone they knew. Alan's expression tensed when he felt their gaze. "Why are you all looking at me?" Alan bowed to Watson. "Young Master Watson, don't worry. Lady Gluttony escaped because I was too weak last time. But I will capture her this time. I won't mind injuries or even death. However, do you think you can bestow me with 2 more pieces of gold tier equipment to help me in capturing her?" Watson said, "Get lost." Everyone there T.S.K.E.D. when they heard that. A moment later, Watson and Alan led the chosen 20 Blackmoon Knights and Christine out of Blackmoon Castle. Then, Watson whistled, and a golden 12-winged lion that looked like it had been made of gold immediately flew toward him and landed in front of everyone. Watson climbed onto the golden flash's back. He raised his slender arm and waved it in the distance. Capture Lady Gluttony and kill the bandit gangs. Blackmoon Knights are on the move, and not a blade of grass will grow. The Knights are on the move, not a blade of grass will grow. Those 20 Blackmoon Knights drew their long swords and knocked on the armor on their chests with loud banging sounds. They're quite imposing, but the slogan is a little excessive. Not a blade of grass will grow. Even if these 20 people are all gold tier warriors, they won't be able to do it, Morgan said to the 2 other manor owners beside him with a calm expression. He thought that young people did like to show off. He would have to do more to capture their target. Gulp. Morgan was about to say something when he suddenly noticed that his 2 companions were swallowing their saliva simultaneously. They were staring at the sky without saying another word. He thought that it was strange, so Morgan took the opportunity to look at the sky above him. The sky had turned dark. One by one, the 2-headed ligers spread their huge white wings and glided across the sky as they let out ear-piercing roars. The sound of their wings as they flapped was like muffled thunder. There were 1,000 of those silver-tier magical beasts, and they had blocked the sun. Kill! Alan led the 20 Blackmoon Knights as they shouted to call for their mounts. Then, they climbed onto their beast and escorted Watson into the sky. Watson was in the lead, his right hand pointed at the sky, and his left hand pointed into the distance. A herd of beasts had covered the sky and the sun. He could see his territory on the ground, and his small figure looked so majestic. The scene was like an eternal painting as it was deeply imprinted in Christine and the other 2 manor owners' eyes. If 20 Blackmoon Knights could not make a single blade of grass grow, what about 1,000 magical beasts? Those magical beasts would trample the earth wherever they passed, let alone grass. Chapter 107, The Magical Beast Army. Boom! Boom! What's going on? Is there an earthquake? Bright Manor was a manor located near Blackmoon City. They were a manor that raised cows and sold milk to earn money. They were also one of the manors that had surrendered to Blackmoon Castle in the past few days. Its fat owner, Norton, was on a chair when he felt the earth shake. The fat on his belly trembled before he felt it in his chest. His heart shook with the fat. He had just heard the news about how Vermilion Manor had been destroyed the previous day, so he did not dare to go anywhere that day. He ordered more than 10 guards in the manor to guard his room and not to take a single step away, and when he heard the commotion outside, he wondered if a bandit gang had attacked his manor. Look at how the ground shakes. How many people are there in this bandit gang? Norton's lips curled into a bitter smile. He was a very timid person. Otherwise, he would have gone with Jack, Morgan, and Christine when they invited him to Blackmoon Castle during the day to seek justice. Master Norton, something terrible has happened. There are many magical beasts outside. At that moment, a guard opened the door and rushed in with a panicked expression. Magical beasts? Norton closed his eyes in despair. If it were a bandit gang, he would have to hand over all of his assets and kneel on the ground to beg for mercy. Perhaps he could survive then. Those magical beasts would not listen to him, and if he were to fall into their hands, he would be torn to pieces. It was winter, but it was not time for the magical beasts to be out. How could there be a magical beast? Then, Norton heard a loud sound from the top of his head. The entire beam of the house had been torn apart until it revealed a huge hole. A ferocious magical beast with 2 heads poked its head into the hole. Its saliva dripped onto Norton's forehead. Countless similar magical beasts were behind that one. They were so densely packed that one could not see beyond them. Norton rolled his eyes and sat down on the ground. He almost fainted. What kind of magical beast was that? It was too scary. Furthermore, it could fly. How could one escape from it? Just as he thought he was doomed, the magical beast suddenly spoke. More accurately, it was the person behind the magical beast who had spoken. Norton, come up quickly. Norton looked up, he realized that the person who spoke was the manor owner, Morgan, who had looked for him during the day. He was on the back of the magical beast, and he had stretched his hand toward. His face was bruised and swollen. He did not know if someone had beaten him. "Morgan, why are you on a magical beast? What's going on? I'll explain it to you later. Come here and get all the guards in your house too." The Misty Forest. As the Holy Dragon Kingdom borders, it was the largest forest close to the Dragonspine Snow Mountain. It was rich in magical beasts. The manors that traded in magical beasts at the border would usually capture them from Misty Forest. The Misty Forest was foggy all year round, so it was easy to get lost in the forest. When the fog was at its thickest, its visitors could not even see their own hands, and the magical beasts there would not usually go out. People said that the Dragonspine Snow Mountain was once the territory of a prosperous country 1,000 years ago. Due to various reasons, that country was destroyed, and many magical beasts had appeared. Whether the rumors were true or not, the fact that there were many ruins in the Misty Forest was genuine. That was why adventurers often went there to explore. That day, the Misty Forest experienced the most lively moment in its history. 1,000 silver-tier magical beasts, led by a golden lion-like beast, charged into the depths of the Misty Forest. Some of those magical beasts had a rider on them. "Morgan, can you tell me what's going on now?" Norton was on the back of a two-winged liger. His face was dull, as if he had not woken up yet. He had not woken up, indeed. He had been in his manor, and in just a short while, he had arrived at the Misty Forest with his guards beside him. All of them were trying to hold onto the fur of a two-winged liger shamefully. They were shouting things like, "This is a silver-tier magical beast, right? It has 2 heads, it's too overbearing, and I'm sitting on a silver-tier magical beast. How useless! Was it not only a silver-tier magical beast? What was so great about sitting on one?" Norton wondered about that. However, it was truly amazing to be able to sit on a silver-tier magical beast and go so far without falling off. The wind blew on Norton's face like a small knife that cut him. He could not even open his eyes. The silver-tier magic beast was too fast. He could not even see anything in front of him before he passed it with a whoosh. In addition, it was winter. It was no exaggeration to say that if he waited any longer, he might wet his pants. "Norton, you'll know soon. Blackmoon Castle is capturing someone. Wasn't the Vermilion Manor attacked yesterday? That's the reason Blackmoon Castle wants to wipe out all the bandit groups in the vicinity. We're here to help find the person who attacked the Vermilion Manor. Don't drag me down. Do you see all these magical beasts? These are all from Blackmoon Castle." Morgan explained with a proud tone as if those magical beasts were his. "Wipe out the bandit gang?" Norton's eyes widened. Blackmoon Castle was too bold. Did they know how many bandit strongholds were there near the Misty Forest? He looked at the magical beasts around him and felt relieved. Well, no matter how strong those bandit gangs, they would not be able to withstand the damage of so many silver-tier magical beasts. Besides him, many manor owners were also invited onto the back of the magical beasts. At that moment, they showed the same expression as they looked around with hesitation. "Alan, which bandit gang is the closest to this place?" At the front of the team, Watson sat cross-legged on a golden beast as he asked the guard next to him. Alan took the border map that Nightingale had given him and studied it carefully. This map doesn't indicate the specific location of the bandit gang. Only a few bandit gangs are marked. It's probably because there aren't many bandits and too much mobility, so it's not easy to investigate. The bandit gang that's closest to this place is marked as the Vortex bandit gang. Then let's start with them first. As long as they are a bandit gang, leave no one alive. A cold gleam flashed in Watson's eyes as he commanded the monster horde to charge forward quickly. During that process, he did not sit idle. When he saw suitable monsters in the Misty Forest, he immediately fused with them. Since he was already a gold tier elite, he could fuse with any creature below gold tier at will. System fusion successful. Master has fused 2 bronze tier magic beasts, the wind-splitting eagle. System fusion successful. Congratulations, Master, for obtaining a silver tier magical beast, the giant ice bear claw. Numerous fusion notifications echoed in Watson's mind, and the number of magic beasts that followed him increased continuously. His idea was straightforward. On the way to exterminating the bandit gang, he would kill as many magical beasts as he could. Not only would he increase his strength, but he would also be able to prevent those magical beasts from harming others during the winter. When he saw the same thing, such as 2 iron tier pythons, magical beasts entangled in a tree and mating, Watson fused them into a bronze tier water bucket python. When he saw more magical beasts flocked out of the forest, he fused them into a silver tier storm eagle. Other than fusing with similar magic beasts, he had also fused with many different magical beasts. There were some winged pigs, 3-headed rabbits, and other strange beasts. Within a short period, the light around Watson continued to shine. The number of magical beasts had increased several times from the initial 1,000, and the number continued to rise. Do you feel that the number of magical beasts around you has increased? Norton, who was on a 2-winged liger, hugged his shoulders and shivered as he asked weakly. You just noticed? Someone beside him asked. The manor owner raised his head and saw a manor owner held by a 5-meter-tall white giant bear. The bear's arms were covered with spiral patterns, and its claws were sharper than swords. It crushed the trees nearby, its blood-red eyes were staring at the poor man in its hands. It roared and spat on his face. Norton turned his head again and found that the giant goshawk in the air held more people. Their screams spread far and wide. What? Norton swallowed his saliva. He felt that the magical beast under his bottom was not so scary anymore. It seemed like he could control those beasts. Did Blackmoon Castle's master summon all those magical beasts? It seemed like he could control the magical beasts. What kind of magic was that? There was no need to create so many magical beasts to kill those bandit gangs. Were they trying to flatten the entire Misty Forest? Chapter 108, The End of the Bandits. Boss, something terrible has happened. There are a lot of magical beasts outside. It seems that there is a magical beast riot in the Misty Forest. There are at least 10,000 of them. Should we inform our brothers and evacuate this area? Near the Misty Forest, on a certain mountain peak. On the low mountain peak, there were tall walls and many kinds of buildings. A person dressed as a bandit asked the tall and sturdy leader who was wearing sky blue armor in front of him. His expression looked panicked. There were also a few other people dressed in the same attire behind that particular bandit. They all seemed to be in a panic. When he saw the injuries on his subordinate, the Vortex bandit gang leader turned his head and frowned. Logically speaking, now is not the time for magical beasts to come out of the mountain. Why are there so many magical beasts here? Forget it. Take all of our valuables with us. We'll retreat. The bandit gang did not have a fixed home. Most of them would choose the mountain top outside the Misty Forest as their base because there were many magical beasts there during winter. The forest was easy to defend but hard to attack, and when the magical beasts were out during the winter, the bandit gang would follow them for their hunt. It was even more impossible for anyone to attack that place. The bandits did as commanded, they dragged large and small bags as they descended the mountain. Hurry up! Hurry up, or I will kill you all! Along the way, some bandits commanded a group of young girls in shabby clothes, they whipped and scolded them. Those young girls were women they had brought back from their hunt a few winters ago. Some of them were from noble families. The bandits loved their tender flesh. After they were brought back and tortured for a few years, their hair and faces had become unkempt, and their eyes were dull, their bodies trembled when they saw the whip. They did not dare to resist. When they saw those young girls, some bandits' eyes flashed. Boss, even though I don't know why the magical beasts in the Misty Forest would riot ahead of time, this is a good opportunity. Winter has started so early this year, it means that we have more time to go out. We might even be able to catch a few beautiful women. I'm tired of playing with the ones in front of us. Alright, we'll talk about it after we leave the misty forest, the Vortex bandit gang leader said as he looked backward. Boom! A series of explosions came from behind them. The milky white fog stirred in the endless misty forest. Since he was standing on the mountainside, he could see the trees below them breaking rapidly. These magical beasts are too fast. Are normal magical beasts that fast? The Vortex bandit gang leader looked down with a puzzled expression. He took the opportunity to make a gesture of indication for his subordinates to stop. Wait, let these magical beasts go past us first. The Vortex bandit gang was not a large group, but they had existed for nearly 10 years. They were very familiar with the changes in the misty forest. Usually, when the magical beasts were in a riot, they would run and tear apart anyone in front of them, but they would not take the initiative to climb. Therefore, the bandits chose to nest in the hilly area of the forest. They knew that the magical beasts would not hurt them if they could not retreat in time. The Vortex bandit gang members made the right choice, but the result was out of their expectations. Roar! A goshawk appeared in front of them. It had turned from a small black dot into a huge monster. Its wings, which were several meters long, streaked across the sky as it cast a shadow on the ground. The eagle's wings brought up a green storm, which was dozens of meters high. Sand and stones flew as the bandits squinted their eyes. The rocks hit the armor on their bodies with a bang. This is the Storm Eagle, a silver-tier magical beast, the Vortex bandit gang leader muttered as he looked at the sky. The magical beasts were usually weaker during the early winter and stronger at the end. They would only see 1 or 2 silver-tier magical beasts at the end of winter in previous years. They did not expect to see one that year, so they were unlucky. Boss, look! A bandit's voice trembled as he pointed in the direction of the Storm Eagle. Countless black shadows were behind that silver-tier magical beast. The sound as their wings flapped was like thunder and waves. Those black shadows quickly arrived in front of them. They were ferocious magical beasts with 2 heads. Those tiger and lion heads roared alternately, and behind those magical beasts, there were also thousands more different magical beasts with wings. All those magical beasts only had one characteristic, and that was that they emitted a silver-tier aura. These are all silver-tier magical beasts. The Vortex bandit gang leader and a group of his subordinates could hear the sound of ping-pong from their hands. All the bags they carried had fallen to the ground, and the things inside were scattered all around them. They wondered if they had seen it wrongly. Most of the magical beasts that ventured outside the forest were iron-tier beasts. Why were those in front of them silver-tier? The bandits were in fear and disbelief. They even forgot to run away. Soon after that, they saw thousands of magical beasts in the sky. Their heads turned at the same time, and a dazzling light beam was condensed in their mouths. Together, they formed a light cannon that spanned over 100 meters, and it swept across their bodies. Kaka! The mountain peak tilted and broke. The 100-meter-tall mountain peak slid down gradually. A few girls in ragged clothes looked at the falling mountain and then at the corpses that had been vaporized by battle aura, the scattered jewelry, and the magical beasts that filled the sky. They did not speak for a long time, but their eyes had light again. Alan was on a 2-winged liger beast a few miles away from the mountain peak. He looked back. He said with some regret, "Young Master Watson, it was not easy to destroy a bandit gang, and even the hill was flattened. Are we really not going to take their treasures? No need. Those treasures will be left to those who were imprisoned by the bandit gang. I think they need those more than we do. We are here to kill bandits." Watson's right hand, which was covered with a light elemental combat aura, held a bloody head. Then, he waved his left hand. "Which is the next bandit group?" "Young Master Watson, it's the Fury Soul Bandit Gang." "What about the next one?" "It's the Extreme Evil Bandit Gang." "What about the next one?" "Yes," Alan flipped the map. "Young Master Watson, the map has the locations of dozens of bandit groups. I guess we'll have to ask Sven about the rest. Then we'll crush these people first and then find Sven. That day was the end of the bandits. Dozens of bandit gangs of various sizes around the misty forest were all annihilated within a day. They had about 1,000 members altogether, but not a single one survived the attack. Even the mountain they occupied collapsed because of the magical beasts' attacks. Those were witnessed by the people who had managed to escape from the bandit gangs. Those people remembered countless pairs of wings and countless silver magical beasts. They also saw a golden lion-like creature with 12 wings that danced among the silver-tier magical beasts. Then, they also saw the youth on that magical beast. He looked like a king. Some people said that the youth was Watson, the youngest child of the Blackmoon Castle's master. He was the 8th son. The sun was setting. Sven sat on the top of the hill where the shabby bandit gang was located. He wiped the undead calamity staff in his hand. He would stroke his neck occasionally as he waited quietly. There was a thick bandage wrapped around his neck. His 2 injuries had almost healed after he had eaten the rainbow phoenix chicken eggs that Blackmoon Castle had given him. He still had the remaining eggs and silver-tier armor. It's almost time. He had left a message for Blackmoon Castle to look for him when they wanted to capture Lady Gluttony. He was confident that the other party would visit him. Not long after that, the mountain peak began to tremble, his eyes lit up. They're here. However, his expression turned to shock. Thousands of magical beasts had gathered in front of the mountain. It almost made the peak impenetrable. Those magical beasts were at least bronze tier, and some of them were even silver tier. There were more than 5,000 of them, and some had men on their backs. Sven was about to go to them when he saw a flash of golden light in front of him. Watson rode down on the golden flash and threw dozens of heads in front of him. Mr. Sven, we meet again. These are the heads from the bandit gangs nearby. Count them and see if the number matches with what you know. Chapter 109, The Great Crimes Conference. The Fury Soul Bandit Gang, the Vortex Bandit Gang, the Extreme Evil Bandit Gang, a total of 50 heads. Sven counted the heads on the ground in front of him. Those heads had threads condensed from light elemental combat aura. Their eyes were wide open, and some even had a terrified expression on their faces. It was as if they had seen something horrible when they were alive. After he counted several times, Sven was sure that he had calculated correctly. He stared at Watson with wide eyes, his face filled with disbelief. There were 50 bandit gang leaders. In other words, Watson had killed dozens of bandit gangs, which equated to a few thousand people. There were 100 or 200 bandit gangs in the entire Misty Forest. Young Master Watson, I know all the bandit gang leaders. Other than those people, there are still some other bandits around the Misty Forest. It's just that there aren't many of them, so I don't know, Sven said weakly as he looked at the sky behind Watson. There were 20 Blackmoon Knights on 2 winged ligers, as well as many powerful magical beasts around them. Tens of thousands of those magical beasts included more than 5,000 silver-tier magical beasts. That kind of power was much stronger than what Sven had seen in the Blackmoon Castle the previous day. Had they kept their strength hidden from him? Sven felt his heart tremble. It was no wonder Blackmoon Castle had dared to let him go and did not covet the undead calamity staff in his hands. That little thing was nothing compared to Blackmoon Castle. Mr. Sven, all bandits must die. I'll have to trouble you to lead the way later. Choose a magical beast you like to go with us. Watson smiled at Sven and stretched his hand outward. It was a very gentle tone, but it made Sven break out in cold sweat. All bandits must die. Was he not a bandit too? He must still be useful if Watson did not kill him yet. Would the young man do it after he had led them to their destination? His wish had not been fulfilled, so he could not die just yet. However, how could he deal with Blackmoon Castle? He looked at the endless magical beasts around him. Their fierce eyes and the saliva that dripped down their fangs forced him to make up his mind. Perhaps there was only one thing he could do. Plop. With a muffled sound, Sven knelt in front of Watson. Young Master Watson, I am willing to point out the location of the remaining bandit gang, but I have one condition. After this matter is over, I hope that young Master Watson can accept me into Blackmoon Castle and let me be a guard in your residence. I will be extremely grateful for that. A mere bandit wants to join Blackmoon Castle? Do you know how much innocent blood has been spilled on your hands? Blackmoon Castle doesn't want people like you. Alan looked down from his liger and interrupted Sven's words with disdain. As expected, it did not work. Sven's expression was gloomy. That was the best idea he had. He needed strength to take revenge. The strongest strength he knew at the border was the fairy castle, followed by Blackmoon Castle. The Count would definitely not help him, and Watson might not either. However, he only needed 1,000 silver-tier magical beasts to complete his quest for revenge. Unfortunately, Alan's words shattered his wish. He was only a dirty bandit. It was good enough that they did not shun him. Why would anyone kindly take him in? Alan saw Sven lowering his head and was about to say something when Watson waved his hand. Alan, I don't think Mr. Sven is a bad man. If he sincerely wants to join Blackmoon Castle, then I'll reluctantly accept him. I'll blame it on my generosity. Really, young Master Watson, you're too kind, Alan complained unhappily as he echoed Watson's words. Sven raised his head excitedly. Really? Young Master Watson, are you really going to take me in? Of course, but there is a price. After you become my subordinate, I want you to guard that mountain peak and continue to be the shabby bandit gang leader. I'll send a few of the Blackmoon Knights to be your subordinate. You must take that opportunity to recruit the bandits nearby. From now on, there can only be one bandit gang at the border. Watson raised a finger. His voice was immature, but his words were very domineering. Let those who obey me enjoy wealth and glory, and those who disobey me will die. Young Master Watson, what do you mean? Sven understood Watson's thoughts. He sucked in a breath of cold air. Even if he knew all the bandit gangs in the vicinity, he could not do everything at once. It was impossible for Watson to wipe out all the bandit gangs. Some might have escaped, they could occupy a mountain and create a new group. That was also why the border count could not wipe out the bandit gangs even if he sent people to surround them. Watson was ruthless. He attracted the bandits who could not be killed to his side so that they could become the most significant bandit leader. He controlled his subordinates and solved the root of the problem. That was something he did not dare to think or do. Indeed, the world belonged to young men, and he was already old. Sven sighed and knelt on one knee in front of Watson with heartfelt admiration. I shall obey young Master Watson's orders. A little deeper in the misty forest, in the middle of 5 towering peaks. A woman in a gorgeous black dress and a ferocious rabbit mask floated along the iron chains that connected each peak. She was headed toward the highest peak in the center. Lady Gluttony, the remaining 5 ladies have been waiting for you at the Great Sin Temple. When the woman floated to the top of the mountain, the gauze on the faces of the 2 maidservants swayed as they bowed their heads and spoke to her respectfully. Very well. I'll go there now. Lady Gluttony giggled. Suddenly, she noticed something and asked, by the way, why are there only 5 people? Shouldn't there be 6 besides me? The maidservant said, it seems that something has happened in Monty Town, so Lady Pride is currently dealing with it. She doesn't have time to come here. As expected of a woman who has been branded with the sin of pride. She is really arrogant. The sound of licking came from under Lady Gluttony's mask. I had thought with the gathering of the 7 great sins, I would have the chance to devour each of them. What a pity! Her gaze swept over the 2 maids, it caused them to shiver. Then, Lady Gluttony floated to a spiked temple in the middle of the mountain peak. The door was open. Among the stone pillars, there was a round table with 5 women sitting around it. The first seat and the third seat were empty. The rest of the seats were taken, each of the women wore a different mask. When one counted the second seat to the last seat, the first woman had her head on a pillow as she drooled, and she wore a black wizard eye mask. The second woman had an ox horn mask, and she was quite plump. The third woman was dressed luxuriously with jewelry on her neck and ears, and she also had a mask made of gold. Then, the fourth woman was in a hooded robe, while the fifth person was a small girl. "Hey, 5 pieces of trash. Long time no see, are you all still alive?" Lady Gluttony walked toward those women quickly and greeted them warmly. Chapter 110, Attack on the Demoness Bandit Gang. "Gluttony, you'll die first before we do." The one who spoke was a plump woman in an angry ox-horn mask. Her name was Lady Wrath, which corresponded to the wrath of the 7 great sins. Her strength was in the middle of the 7 great sins, and since she was on par with Lady Gluttony, the two of them always fought whenever they met. "Wrath, you're still the same. Every time you open your mouth, it's like you've eaten some gunpowder," Lady Gluttony chuckled. Her steps paused before she turned into a shadow and arrived in front of Lady Wrath swiftly. The rabbit head mask on her face flushed red. "Do you know that it's effortless to be killed just like that?" A cheerful smile spread out from under the mask as her hands clutched around Wrath's neck. "Teleportation? You've advanced to gold tier?" She asked the question with difficulty. The ox-horn mask that she wore also squirmed. A powerful force poured into her body, and it caused her to stand up abruptly. She turned into a muscular giant that was over 5 meters tall and pushed Lady Gluttony away. "Don't worry," she said condescendingly. Each of the Great Sin masks had a magical spell attached to it. The spell that matched the Wraith's mask was Goliath. The higher the rage, the bigger her body's transformation. "I haven't advanced to gold tier yet, but I'll be there soon." Gluttony took a few steps backward from Wraith before she headed straight for the seat of honor. The Storm Bandit Gang and the Shabby Bandit Gang are well known as the 3 bandit gangs at the border with us, but their leaders were all idiots. Especially Vigor, though he tasted excellent. "It's a pity that I didn't get to eat Sven. Otherwise, I would have been a gold tier warrior by now." "Gluttony, I heard about what happened to you. You've really caused a lot of trouble." The person who spoke was a woman dressed luxuriously and had jewelry all over her body. As she spoke, the jewelry collided and sounded like a wind chime. She held a few coins in her hand. Every time she tossed them upward, one of the coins would disappear, and her aura would also become stronger. "Just like what Greed said, Gluttony, I know what you've done," the little girl at the last seat said. The young girl was in a pure white fox mask. There were not many patterns on it. Her chubby hands and legs and undeveloped body proved that she was only a little over 10 years old. "According to the response from the people I control in the other bandit groups, Blackmoon Castle led a team to the Misty Forest to exterminate the bandit gangs. It is said that they have mastered a magical ability to control the magical beasts. They can even control silver-tier magical beasts. Many bandits were torn into pieces before they could even see their shadows." The young girl seemed to be lamenting the tragic scene. She took a deep breath. Then, after she had calmed down, she continued to say, "I reckon that the Blackmoon Castle army will attack us soon. They would make a big move. Gluttony, this is because you decided to destroy some of the manors under their protection. Lust, please watch your words. Even if I didn't destroy those manors, do you really think that they won't come for us? Besides, Blackmoon Castle killed so many of our people. I'm just returning the favor. Is there anything wrong with that?" As she spoke, Lady Gluttony went to the first seat and was about to sit down. Bang! At that moment, the black-haired woman who had been sleeping in the second seat suddenly bounced from the pillow. A big snot bubble burst as she reached out to grab Lady Gluttony. "Sloth, what are you doing?" Gluttony's body trembled, and she wanted to sit down, but she did not move. "That seat belongs to Pride. If you want to sit there, you'll have to defeat me." Sloth's voice was very pleasant, but she spoke very slowly and tiredly. Every time she said a few words, she would pause for a moment to catch her breath. Pride is not here. What's wrong with me sitting in the first seat? Anyway, I'm about to become a gold tier warrior. When that time comes, I'll be on the same level as that old woman. All you silver tier scum will have to listen to me, understand? Lady Gluttony sneered and broke free from Sloth's hand. Her words caused her companions to frown and stop what they were doing at the same time. The Demoness bandit gang's rules were very simple. The strongest will get the final say, and their seats were arranged according to that. Lady Pride was their only gold tier elite. If Lady Gluttony were to reach gold tier, then they would have to listen to her. Even if you were to reach gold tier, you're still no match for Pride, the woman who symbolized laziness said. That might not be the case. Gluttony spread her hands out confidently. I intentionally lured Blackmoon Castle to attack the bandit gangs. According to my speculation, Blackmoon Castle is very likely related to the border count. The young master of the castle, Watson, is most likely his illegitimate son. Once we catch him, we'll be able to control the border. Not only that, Blackmoon Castle also has dozens of silver-tier warriors and even more silver-tier magical beasts. If I were to devour all of them, then I would be the strongest person in the world. Gluttony's mask gave her the ability to devour. If she were to consume something, she would be able to obtain all their powers, including their talent. The border count's child must be very talented in magic cultivation. Gluttony, don't forget our goal, which is to resurrect the Demoness Church and rebuild the Mask of Great Sin. The reason we're hiding at the border is to avoid the attention of the kingdom's higher UPS. What if you make too much of a ruckus and people target us instead? The young girl said lustfully. So what? We've been hiding for a long time, and we've tried all kinds of ways to repair the mask. But in the end, the mask still can't be repaired, right? I think that all of you have been fooled by that arrogant old woman. If Blackmoon Castle attacks us later, I can give you a part of the prey. Let's become stronger together. When that arrogant old woman comes back, we'll kill her. What do you think? How dare you? Sloth's tone became furious, and she was about to say something. Boom! At that moment, a loud sound came from outside the hall, and the whole mountain shook. Lady Gluttony said, "My food is finally here. If you disagree with me, just wait here." Then she flew out without hesitation. The remaining women looked at each other, they were speechless. What should we do now? What else can we do? The enemy is already here. Even if we disagree with Gluttony's methods, we can only go out and destroy them, Lady Greed said with her hands behind her back. Her tone was quite relaxed. The other party has quite many silver-tier magical beasts, the young girl reminded them lecherously. What's a silver-tier magical beast? We've been working at the border for so long, and we have a trump card that no mere silver-tier magical beast can compare. I am sure that all of you are clear on that, Lady Greed continued to speak. Since everyone was silent, it was clear that they had tacitly agreed. The golden mask on her face shone. It's time to activate that thing, the thing that was left behind by the god we believe in, the primordial Demoness.